All right, we got Bob Holt with us, our good friend and sports writer extraordinaire, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Bob's been getting into now to NCAA track championships quite a bit. It's a big weekend on the Hill. I know, and Dave Van Horn said that's the reason that the baseball team is playing on the road this week, because they knew 5 years ago that track would host the national championships, and so bye-bye baseball, no room for them, and that's because, well, you got a bigger event going on. So what is exactly detail what is happening over there at the Tyson Track Center in the next few days, if you can, Bob?
Excuse me. Well, they're having the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships, which is today the 11th of March?
Today is the 11th. That's right.
Okay. Well, a year ago tomorrow, all the teams were in Albuquerque. Some of the athletes were actually at the facility in Albuquerque, the convention center, warming up, and they got the word the meet had been canceled. Just like, everything else was getting canceled in college and pro sports, or postponed anyway. And so now a year later, they can't have fans, which is unfortunate, obviously, but they're having the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships at the Tyson Center. And Arkansas's women are ranked number 1. The men are ranked number 3. They've both got a lot of qualifiers. The women have 25 entries, and some of those are double entries. In other words, like Katie Izzo's running the 3,000 and the 5,000, and that includes the kids on relays. But that's by far the most qualifiers. Doesn't mean they're all going to score. But and then the Arkansas men have 18 qualifiers, or 18 entries. So they're both in shape, good shape to compete for the title. I know Lance Harder, the women's coach at Arkansas, is very wary of A&M. Texas A&M, don't have as many qualifiers as Arkansas, but they've got 4 event leaders, which if that, comes to pass, that's a lot of points. So, and then Oregon's the favorite in the men's race, LSU's second, Arkansas's third. So that's going to take place today through Saturday night at the Tyson Center.
Is there any coach in the country, as far as success is concerned, that is more successful than Lance Harder at any sport that you are aware of? I mean, I'm looking here at 21 Coach of the Year awards for cross country, 8 for outdoor track and field, 41 times overall SEC Coach of the Year, 12th indoors. It's just kind of nuts. I don't know anybody that's had this kind of success at any level.
Well, of course, John McDonald did. And Lance has joked for years that he has. He can't get a tan because was always in John McDonald's shadow. But Lance has obviously emerged, very well deserved. He's going to be inducted in the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame later this year, and he's in some other track and field Hall of Fames. But yeah, he's done a great job. He's won 5 national championships, I believe it is, 2 indoors, 2 outdoors, 1 in cross country at Arkansas. So if Arkansas were to be able to pull it off this weekend, that'd be his 6th national title. And like I said, John McDonald says the standards when it comes to national titles in track and field. But, yeah, Lance has had a great career, and he's really shown no signs of slowing down. As far as I know, he's in great shape, and he's got a great staff with Chris Johnson, the sprints coach, and Brian Compton, his field events coach, and they recruit really well. They get really good transfers, and when these kids come in, they really improve their marks over what they did at their old schools. And so, Lance, I don't think there's a better coach at Arkansas, probably not a better coach in the country right now doing what he does better than Lance does.
Let's move over to basketball, because Arkansas plays tomorrow against either Georgia or Mizzou. I don't know how much extra motivation they necessarily need for what's in front of them, and they could handily beat either one of those teams. But with just Moses Moody being listed on either of the top 2 teams on the postseason awards, and Justin Smith's not there, no Devo Davis on the freshman. I mean, everybody knows who's been snubbed, and must look pretty upset about it. He seems to be the kind of guy who's really very good at marshaling energy during a game and overall from his team. And I'm very interested to see what the message is to the team and how it's delivered, and if this team comes out playing any better than they have, because I feel like they've got reason now to feel like they've got more of a chip on their shoulder than anybody else.
Yeah, Eric said something kind of unprompted about how there wouldn't be any overconfidence for them going to the tournament. I mean, they've won 11 in a row in the conference. They've beaten teams that are going to go to the NCAA tournament, like Missouri, Florida, Alabama, LSU. They didn't get another crack at Tennessee. They might get a shot at them in Nashville. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I mean, I think he said he wasn't bothered about not being Coach of the Year. And I don't think you can argue with Nate Oates getting Coach of the Year. I think him and Eric both had very persuasive arguments. Alabama won the league 16-2, but what Eric did with essentially a totally new roster, among the guys playing, Desi Silva is really the only returnee. Ethan Henderson, I think, does a good job when he's in there, but he doesn't play a whole lot, gets to play a whole lot. And so Eric's taken a team of senior grad transfers from different schools and freshmen and guys that sat out and then holdover or returning like Desi, and he's really got them playing well. I mean, I think you'd have to, I don't think you should argue. They're playing the best of anybody in the SEC. They're playing better than Alabama. But, Alabama had the better record throughout the SEC season and beat them really badly at Tuscaloosa when Justin Smith was out. But now Justin Smith's back. They're really rolling. And but you could say, well, they could have a letdown. They've won all these games in a row. But Eric said, if they were, there's no chance of them being overconfident, because of these slights. So Justin Smith said, it doesn't really upset him, but I'm sure he would like to have gotten all SEC recognition. I'm sure Diego Davis would like to have gotten on the all-freshman team. Connor Vanover or Jalen Tate could have been on the all-defensive team. Tate's a lockdown defender. Connor blocked 50 shots, altered probably hundreds, dozens certainly. And so, I think that's something that any good coach would use for motivation. Certainly Eric knows how to do that pretty well.
Bob Holt joining us here on Halftime. Bob, keeping it with the basketball team for a second. Have you have you heard of any inkling or any details about the status of Jaylin Williams heading into the SEC tournament?
Need to double check on that today and see if they'll say anything. On the Zoom call, which I think is out there for me to see, but Moses Moody mentioned they weren't going to have, but then he corrected himself. And so I have not heard if they're going to. I've not heard they're going to have him up it that way. And you don't know if maybe they could play Saturday if they advance or Sunday. But I have not heard anything definitive that he's definitely out of the tournament or he's definitely going to play. But hopefully we'll get some verification or confirmation on that today. But Arkansas also may want to keep it under wraps because they don't want Missouri or Georgia to know what their roster, if they're going to have Jaylin. Obviously, he played really well down the stretch, and he'd be a key guy. I guess the main thing is to have him back for the NCAA tournament, but, you don't like the fact that he wouldn't have played in a couple of weeks. He'd be kind of rusty, you'd think.
I think you're 100% right. He's been playing extremely well, and this team has been playing extremely well with him. And obviously, you can skate by without him for taking on two of the lesser teams in the SEC with South Carolina A&M. But let's assume that he's out for the entire SEC tournament. Can Arkansas get to an SEC tournament championship and win without the big man?
Oh, I think they can. I mean, like I say, he's become a very important piece. Justin Smith played all 40 minutes against A&M. I don't know if he needs to be doing that in this tournament because as much as Arkansas wants to win, obviously the big prize is the NCAA tournament. So I think you want Justin and all the guys to get their minutes and play well. But I personally, nobody probably wants to know my opinion, but I personally would not be playing Justin Smith 40-something minutes in the tournament tomorrow night. I think, if Jaylin Williams doesn't play, Ethan Henderson, I'd give him some minutes. I think he's showing that he can go in there and do things. I mean, he can rebound, he can block shots, he can score inside. He doesn't need to be taking jump shots, and, he doesn't shoot free throws real well, but he can definitely, he's an energy guy, and he's had a really good attitude for a guy that doesn't play a lot of minutes. But, when they put him in games, to me, he's contributed. So I think maybe you give some more minutes to Ethan Henderson. You get some more minutes to Vance Jackson, who's a different kind of player. He's more of a perimeter player. But certainly Arkansas has shown they can adjust and play different ways, use different lineups. Whether you have Justin Smith as a small forward or a power forward or even your five. You don't really have a true center. Give Connor more minutes, Connor Vanover more minutes, depending on the matchup. He didn't play hardly any against Georgia because they just won a good matchup. And, so, it'll definitely be a loss if they don't have Jaylin. Williams, but I don't think it means they can't win games. Obviously, they've been able to win without him.
Right. Before we let you go, what's going to be the headline come Monday morning, or what's going to be your headline? Are we going to be talking about the first SEC tournament championship since 2000? What's Bob Holt's headline going to be come Monday morning?
Arkansas wins another national track championship. That's going to be his headline.
Well, that would be for Sunday. I don't. Well, first of all, I don't write the headlines. I just write the stories. They get edited.
That's the stock answer from reporters, Bob. You get yelled at for headlines all the time, don't you?
Well, that's true. That's true. Everybody thinks. Yeah, we get yelled at for everything, whether we had anything to do with it or not. That's okay. That's okay. So, if you're asking me, I think Arkansas. I'm not going to pick a winner because I don't really like to do that as a beat guy. But I think Arkansas is playing really well. It certainly won't surprise me if Arkansas wins the SEC tournament, and it won't surprise me if I think the women have a really good shot to win the track meet, and I think the Arkansas men, if they have some guys that really go out and show out, I think they've got a shot to win because they've got a lot of people. I'm talking to Chris Buckman, the men's coach. There's 16 qualifiers in each event. You obviously have people seeded based on performances, but that doesn't that performance doesn't get counted in this meet. Everybody's, it's kind of like the SEC basketball tournament. Everybody starts off in the same spot. So, if Arkansas has enough guys really have great meets, then, they'll have a shot to win, I think, the men, too.
Bob, appreciate you, man. Also, too, man, I know you can't make predictions on that, so I think I kind of read between the lines there. And, yeah, I wouldn't want to be writing the headlines either. Not at all, although you need to get it.
That means exactly. You got to make them fit in that space. You got to these are some dates where you got to tell it, sell it, and something else. I can't remember the third thing.
Bob, have a great weekend,
Thanks,
man.
Bob.
Enjoy the tournament. Enjoy the track championships. We'll talk about it Thursday next week.
Okay, you guys take care. Thanks.
You got it. Make sure you plan your night out. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge in Fort Smith. Open tonight until midnight, Friday, Saturday till 1 a.m. If you go to 906lounge.com, you can find all the information, all their menu, see pictures about the lovely places you'll be sitting and enjoying top shelf spirits, hand-rolled cigars, premium small plate menu, and they have that outstanding airflow system. They replace the air every 4 minutes. That's 906lounge.com. First hour halftime wrapping up next.